Welcome, everybody. Let's take a look at what happened in the market today. So we're looking at the Dow Jones Transportation, and you can see it had a pretty big day here. The range was 359. But you know why this day is so huge, guys? Because of the CPI. I call this the CPI FOMO trading. The fear of missing out. I'm trying to see another day where we saw. See it over here? This was a CPI back on June 12th. Of course, this happened, the June 12th one happened on the backside of this cycle low. This one's happening in the middle, so it went up just like the previous one and stayed up there because cycle timing makes a big difference, right? And you can see that SMI was kind of near the bottom here. So we've got positive momentum now going on in the Dow Jones Transportation. All right, positive momentum. Let me take a look at something down here. Yeah. So this is what you get. Now, was the CPI some massive revelation that the economy's making a huge turn and we're out of the trouble and inflation is over? No. It was a nothing burger. You want to know what it was? Listen to this. 0.1%. That's it. That's how much the CPI improved. 1/10 of 1%. Okay. And I believe that it excluded food and something else. Food and gas. Or food and energy, sorry. Food and energy was actually down. Or I should say up. So this we'll say down, and it improved 0.1%. This actually was up 0.1% on food and gas. And the market went, trading is like, it doesn't make any sense, right? And don't expect the trading world to ever make any sense. So the S&P 500, as we will see, took a big, huge dive today because the CPI was a joke. The Dow Jones Transportation took a big bounce here because of the CPI nonsense. And the Russell 2000 actually took a pretty big bounce today too. Okay, so anyway, this is so common. Everybody gets all excited and does FOMO trading over like a nothing burger. But whatever, we trade the market, It's hilarious. I was saying to my members on the Discord server, I think the traders would trade if there was a fart in the wind, anything to get them to trade something and go long, So when you look at, we're going to look at the FRED, which is part of the Fed's CPI. Okay, we're going to go take a look at that. Okay, so this is the Federal Reserve out of St. Louis. Okay, and this is the consumer index for all urban consumers, all items, U.S. city average. This is from 1947 all the way current through June, right? This was updated today, July 11th, because the CPI came out today, this morning at 7:40 a.m. Central Standard Time. Now look at this chart, guys. Here's 1947 over here, way down here at like whatever that was, 20. Look where we're at today, way over here, the year 2024. Does that look like to you the CPI's cooled off? I mean, look at this thing. You have to take things in context, right? So the CPI came out and there was a 0.1% improvement only in some items, right? Not in food and gas. And the market goes crazy and wild over what? It's a nothing burger. We're still at all-time highs for CPI. It's hilarious. It's just like, so I don't know, the S&P 500 already lost everything that it gained, not only from today's CPI, which had spiked early this morning, like at pre-market, which we're going to see that. Okay, but also lost all the gains it made from the previous day, because the real truth is the CPI is a nothing burger, and the S&P already gave it all up. So did the Nasdaq. Okay, all the money flowed into gold and into the Russell 2000. That's where all the money went. Okay, so anyway, I wanted to give some context here on what's really going on with the CPI. Big, huge nothing burger, sitting at all-time highs. Ridiculous. No, it has not improved. No matter what the news and the leftists try to tell you, a 0.1% anything doesn't mean it doesn't amount to a hill of beans. And this chart right here tells you the true story. Okay, so we looked at the Dow Jones Transportation, its response to the CPI nonsense. We'll see whether or not this continues. I have a feeling there's going to be weakness here, and this is going to give it up. I don't think it's going to be sustained, but could be wrong. We'll see what happens. Now let's look at the Russell 2000. Okay, the Russell 2000 had a huge gap up. Overnight futures obviously gapped up, and probably pre-market it gapped up. And then when the Russell 2000 index came online at 8:30, there was this big gap here, and it went to the moon. Okay, went to the moon. We're way up here on the daily chart. Let's look at the cycle here. We're kind of at the beginning side of this cycle, so it makes sense that the Russell 2000 is bullish as we go up this side of the cycle. But this right here, this is just FOMO trading on the CPI. It doesn't mean anything. I suspect we'll have to see how this plays out. At some point, I think it's going to give it all back up and then some. It may not be immediately. It might do one of these deals like this. Okay, let's see, like kind of over here. Okay, see how it went like this and took off. This was probably not CPI. Here's one right here. Took off like this and then gave it all up. This is a little bit different part of the cycle, but anyways, I suspect this gap is going to be filled at some point, but it may be a while. Okay, so the Russell 2000 definitely has some strength in it. It looks like it's still not positive momentum on the daily, though it's trying. Okay, so now let's take a look at the S&P 500 futures. All right, here is the daily chart of the S&P 500 futures. You can see today was a big down day. Most of it was down, 77 range, almost 78, with most of it being down. But today is a cycle low of July 11th. What do you know? It showed up. Okay, so it had a pre-market bounce. We'll see that in the trades of the day. It had a pre-market bounce on the CPI, and then it gave it all up and then some. So this was a big spike yesterday, gave it all back today. I was telling members, I said, we're probably going to see some FOMO trading in the CPI. Sure enough, it happened. And then it gave it all up. All right. Overall, though, the S&P 500 still looks extremely bullish, with the momentum being way up here. All right. So if this is the cycle low right here, at the end of this cycle, well, then we're in for a bounce. And then maybe down. We'll see. Okay. So let's go look now at the intraday charts. Where were, if any, trades of the day? Okay, this is the 15-minute chart. What do we got going on here? Here's where futures started last night. It just sat sideways all night long. Basically sitting at about 56.85 area. Right, this 56.85 area whole night, came down a little bit to 56.80, and then right at pre-market, the CPI clowns, the fear of missing out crowd, went nuts and drove it all up to 57.07. And what happened? It gave it all back. Look, we get this signal right here. Trade of the day right there, guys. 8 a.m. trade of the day. Momentum starts to look a little bit weak. Look at this. You can see that the SMI never got to the top. See that? Yeah, that's a sign of weakness. It begins to roll over. You get the signal, take the trade, and bam, the whole day was just down. Look at that. Conservatively speaking, even 56.80 all the way down to 56.40. That's an easy 40 points. That's $4,000 on 2 contracts and $2,000 on 1 contract. Huge money right here on a big fear of missing out failure. Big FOMO failure. Fail. FOMO fail. They tried to drive this up with a FOMO nonsense, and bam. Failure. I love it. I don't think the market, this is just my opinion here. I don't think the market should be rewarded for cheesy nothing burger CPI data. If the CPI came out and there was a massive improvement in economics, okay, maybe, but there wasn't that. It was a complete nothing burger that the media tried to make into something. If you look at the headlines, you would think the world economy has just turned for the better and everything is great. Of course, we all saw the real truth on the chart from the Federal Reserve out of St. Louis, and the CPI is sitting at all-time highs. Nothing burger, FOMO failure. Okay. All the money, as I said, poured into gold and into the Russell 2000. That's where all the money went. Gold is up over 2,400 again, and the Russell 2000 has gone ballistic. All right. So this was the trade of the day. A no-brainer, absolute monster mash, huge money. If you look at the 5-minute chart, it's pretty much the same thing. Almost exactly the same spot. There it is right there. Happened at 7:35. So half an hour earlier, 25 minutes earlier or so, half an hour earlier than the 15-minute chart. Bam, it shows up right there. It starts to curl over. You can see that the MACD momentum is starting to really give it up. If you wanted to be patient, that's fine, and wait for this MACD to get over here, which would be about, probably about right here, the second candlestick down. Boom, you're in the trade. Wow. Again, conservatively speaking, more like 56.85 all the way down to 56.40. It's more like 45 points if you're really paying attention. So maybe a few extra $100 if you traded the 5-minute chart instead of the 15-minute chart. But either way, both those charts gave you everything you needed to know about making a huge trade today to the short side. Guys, the Giddus Plus indicator, absolutely rocking the house. This thing has been cha-ching in it and bringing in the bank for, 2 years now. I would say more times than not, I don't know what the percentage is, but it's got to be over 80% of the time the Giddus Plus indicator shows up at least 1 to 2 trades a day that are absolutely monster mash and huge profits. I mean, I've seen it on tight days where range is like 20 and still make money in the market. And I've seen it on days like today where the range was, decent sized range day, whatever it was, 70 or 80 points. And you can see there was a good 40-point range day for profits here today. I mean, it's almost always making money. Right, so if you want to become a member, there's a link in the description below this video. Guys, it's $7.99 a month. I mean, you saw right here alone, this trade probably here on the 5-minute chart was $4,500 for 2 contracts, or $22.50 for 1 futures contract. And as always, if you're trading, that would be if you have a decent sized retail account. And if you're trading with a small account, just take it 1/10 of that. You could trade the micros, which would have been $450 for 2 contracts up here for futures, or 1 micro is $225. There was no reason not to make money today. This is just a long string of days of making money. Okay. And even a small retail account can make, hundreds of dollars in on a given day. I'm not saying it's going to happen every day, but it can happen often. The membership for $7.99. I mean, are you kidding me? I mean, today, just if you traded just this 1 micro, I mean, how many times does 8 go into 225? It's like what, 30 months, 25, 30 months, whatever it is. It's like 2 or 3 years worth of membership right there in 1 day's worth of trading. I mean, seriously, the membership is ridiculously cheap. Okay. There's streaming charts that you get. This is one of the streaming charts, by the way. Right now, futures are closed. They're going to open up here in about another 10 minutes because futures trade 23 hours a day. But you get the streaming chart. That just before this one, I showed the 15-minute chart. You get that too. There's a 1-hour chart. You also get that. That's all in the streaming charts when you join. You can just click on the streaming charts on the Discord server and watch the streaming charts. It's also streaming charts for gold. So if you want, when you join, if you read the instructions on the how to join in the description or the first comment of this video on YouTube, okay? And when you join, just hit me up in like the main channel on Discord and ask, just ask for me, Giddus. Where is the new members video? And I'll give you the new members video. You can watch it. It shows you, kind of give you a point in the right direction about how to trade, okay? There's so much opportunity. I mean, today you could have traded short on the S&P 500 or the NASDAQ. You could have traded long on gold or the Russell 2000. I mean, take your pick. There was so much opportunity in the market today. It was huge. Okay, every night I put out emails to the members. Every night. You get 5 different charts. You get the weekly, the daily, and the S&P 500 futures chart. And you get 3 2-hour directional charts. Very powerful. Okay, those directional charts really help keep you in the trade. So let me show you what I'm talking about. We're going to look at the 2-hour chart right here for the, I'm going to switch over to the Russell 2000 just as an example, okay? And we'll look at the 2-hour chart, and I'm going to put on the directional indicator. This is what members get every night in email. Okay, look at this. Look at this. It's telling you to go long. It's been that way for like a week. See, it went from being short for like, I don't know, whatever this was, 2-3 weeks. 3 weeks of going short, Friday, maybe like 4 weeks of short trading. And now we've been on about a full week, a little bit more than a full week of long. And sure enough, look at this thing, went to the moon. Bam. Okay, you get this for the Russell 2000, the NASDAQ, and the S&P 500, all 3 indices. You get this 2-hour chart with the ultimate 2-hour directional 2-hour indicator I created, okay? It tells you and helps you stay in the trade. Okay, this is really useful for people who want to maybe do a swing trade. If you're doing intraday trading, you can still consult this chart and just see what's the overall trend for short-term or near-term trading, right? So you can go look at the 2-hour chart and say, okay, things are, in this case for the Russell 2000, are positive, in other words, bullish. And you can trade this as a swing trade, or you can trade it as an intraday trade, right? Go do your intraday thing, whether you're buying options, trading options, or you're trading futures. It makes no difference. All right. So that's what goes in the email. This chart plus the 2 other 2-hour indices and the daily and weekly S&P 500 futures chart. And I give my opinion in that email every night about what I think the market's going to do. Last night, in last night's email, I said to the members that today was going to be an up day. Okay, well, it was for the Russell 2000. For the S&P 500, it wasn't. Yeah, because CPI day, you're going to get the FOMO trades, guys. You got to be aware of that, right? CPI, okay, or the Fed lending rate announcements when the Fed comes out and does their lending rate announcements. Anytime you get these kind of events, you're going to get a lot of FOMO trading, which is exactly what this is. Okay, but regardless, the Russell 2000 was telling you go long. Okay. All right, I think that pretty much covers it. Hope everybody had an awesome, happy trading day. God bless everybody. Talk to all real soon again next time.